Hey, hi, hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm doing a little bit of a book haul for you, and for me, mostly for me. I have 15 books to show you guys today, so I'm just gonna jump right into it. The first book is a very popular book that you probably have seen before, The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. This is a new adult romance novel that follows two characters who are the only guests at a wedding that don't eat the certain food that gives everybody else violent food poisoning. These two, who happen to hate each other, end up taking the honeymoon trip for the bride and groom because the bride and groom cannot reschedule or get refunded, and I believe it's a hate to love vacation romance. I've heard really good things about it. I am a little tentative because I read Roomies by Christina Lauren, which is another new adult romance, and I wasn't a huge fan of that one, so I'm a little tentative on this. But I think the plot was mostly the thing I had issues with in Roomies, and I think the plot in this one is going to be a little bit better. I have a young adult poetry collection by Jason Reynolds called For Everyone. I have seen this around. I kind of didn't really think anything of this when it came out. When I saw it, I love to read poetry, but when I realized it's Jason Reynolds, the same Jason Reynolds who wrote The Long Way Down, I had to pick it up. I had to, because I love that book so much and I love his poetic style so much. So The Long Way Down was a story written in verse, and this is a collection of poetry. I'm very curious to see how they differ and if I like this as much as I liked that one. I picked up a collection of short stories, The Girl of Fire and Thorns stories by Ray Carson, consisting of 3 short stories, The Shadow Cats, The Shattered Mountain, and The King's Guard. This is something that I didn't even know existed until I was browsing, I think, Amazon one day, and it was recommended to me for some reason. I don't know why. But I love The Girl of Fire and Thorns trilogy. It's an older YA fantasy trilogy that just holds up in my opinion. So of course I'm going to want every bit and piece of that world that I can get my hands on, so I'm hoping to gobble these stories up very soon. I finally picked up a copy of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I have already read this. This is a very hyped, well-loved book here on BookTube and in other book communities. I love it so much. I definitely plan on doing a reread of this. I listened to it the first time, so I'm thinking maybe if I want to reread it, I can physically read it, but I wanted a copy for my bookshelf, so I picked it up. For those of you guys that do not know what this is about, it kind of jumps back and forth between time, but most of the story follows Evelyn Hugo and her rise to stardom in the early 50s through the 60s as a Hollywood starlet. And she is a Cuban immigrant who has kind of gone from rags to riches, and the media has painted a very specific story, specifically around her 7 marriages, but we get to dive in deep into what actually happened, and it's quite different than you would expect, and it's just so good. I picked up another couple of copies of books I already read, but I am planning on doing a reread. I love them so much, and that is Waking Gods and Only Human by Sylvain Neuvel, the second and third book in the Themis Files. The first book being Sleeping Giant. This is an adult science fiction series that follows a group of characters. It's told in interview style, so we get a group of characters whom they all come together because they have all stumbled upon body parts that are made out of an alien material. So we are following these groups of scientists and other people that are trying to figure out what this is, where it came from, and what's going on. This is a book that I know nothing really about. I just picked it up on a whim, and that is The Moth Presents All These Wonders, True Stories About Facing the Unknown, forward by Neil Gaiman, edited by Catherine Burns. I think they're obviously true stories about facing the unknown. I mean, I don't know what else to say about this. I love this cover. It just seems like such an interesting read to me, so I definitely wanted to pick it up. I know The Moth is a pretty well-known website, I believe, for its storytelling, but I've never explored that at all. I just figured I would give it a go. I forgot that I had this book to haul when I talked about For Everyone earlier by Jason Reynolds, but I have The Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds as well. This I read on audiobook, and it is fabulous because Jason reads it himself, and since it's told in verse, I think that is a supreme way to experience this story. This follows our main character Will directly after his brother is shot and killed due to gang violence, and Will is trying to go and seek revenge on whomever killed his brother, and he is riding down the elevator in his building, and each floor a different person gets on, and he has to face that person in his life who have also previously been affected by gang violence. This book is incredible. Read it. I picked up The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell. This was bargain priced for only $3. This is a YA urban fantasy where modern day magic is pretty much gone extinct, and our main character is a thief who collects magical artifacts which will help people do magic in modern day. So she can travel back in time to collect these magic artifacts and bring them forward. But I believe as our main character Esta is traveling back and forth between time, she's uncovering all of these secrets of this magical order, and I've heard not much, but what I've heard about this series is really good, so I figured I would give it a go, especially at $3. Like, come on. I picked up On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. This I have already completed. It follows our main character Bree, who grew up in the same neighborhood as the main character Star from The Hate U Give, Angie Thomas's more well-known debut novel, and Bree wants nothing more than to be a rapper, but her family is struggling. They're in this cycle of poverty and they can't seem to get out of it. So Bree is trying to choose between being herself and wanting to be herself in her rap career, or potentially getting extremely famous, going viral for being someone that she's not, to help out her family. It's so good, guys. It's so good. It's so good. Then I picked up Middlegame by Seanan McGuire. This is Seanan McGuire's most recent adult science fiction novel, and it follows two twins, Roger and Dodger, who have abilities, and they were created by this scientist named Reed, and I think that's really all I know about it. I've heard really, really good things about it. The synopsis is very vague, but it seems like there's a lot of alchemy going on, and their creator wants to raise these twins with superpowers up to the highest form of power, and I've just heard really, really great things about it. I do want to get to this very soon, hopefully in August. My July TBR is very, very booked up with the boogie trials. Hopefully this is an August read for me. LOL, my TBR is booked up. I picked up We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Fazel. This is a YA Arabic inspired fantasy that follows two characters. One of them is a prince and one of them is a thief. You know, I am a sucker for that trope. They are both sent on the same mission to receive an artifact, and I am here for this. Like, so good. I'm so excited. I want to read this so bad. Then this is a book that I picked up a while ago, but I haven't done a book haul since. Again But Better by Christine Riccio. Christine is a very well-known booktuber, so I wanted to give this a go and support her. I have already read this. I did a whole wrap-up on it. If you are interested in my thoughts, I'll leave it linked down below. But this follows our main character Shane, who is on the plane to study abroad in London in the first chapter, and she thinks she hasn't really done college correctly. She just kind of studies, does her work, and stays in her dorm to watch movies. So she's using this study abroad trip as an opportunity to get out of her shell a little bit more. And finally, I picked up Paper Girls Volume 3 and 4 by Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chang. This is a adult science fiction graphic novel series that for sure is like Stranger Things vibes. It follows the first one follows four paper girls that they're on their route in the morning. It's back in the 80s. So they're delivering papers when all of a sudden this mysterious event happens. So they end up stumbling on these people from the future. They find a time machine. Like, it's so bizarre and weird and fun, and I for sure am enjoying myself. So I haven't read all of volume 2 yet, but I know I'm going to want to continue on with this series. I believe it's a relatively short series. I think they're going with 6 or 7 of these bind-ups, and then the series will be over. So I'm for sure going to read the entire thing. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.